Chai this time, not spicy chili. All right, let's get kickstart this going here.
Oh, right, you said you. Oh, yeah. What happened to my veg? I got shorted on vegetarian chili. I'm telling Fran.
Well, I can drop you off a little Tupperware or whatever.
Oh, you have it?
I do, I do. Yeah, it's it's basically my lunch or like it's like huevos rancheros kind of thing. But you'll get
Where
some
are you
chili,
from?
Hannah. Let's focus on the people in Miami. Anyone listening? Today we have a special guest, Hannah Baumgarten. Is that what I
Very
say?
nice.
Okay.
That's all I have to do to answer all security questions. Is just pronounce my last name.
No, because I've gotten the last name ridiculously wrong before. But anyhow, we met at Harvey's. There was a Miami Arts Line, which is a magazine, an online magazine that Harvey, one of the guests of the podcast, he had an anniversary party, and when there was Fran, who's also another guest, and then you came rolling in with a big smile, and naturally we like started dancing salsa right there and like hugging it out, and got a picture of you already right over there. It was on Ocean Drive, so I was like, all right, well, I guess this podcast is going to run itself this winter. It's been this is the first episode actually, so yeah, there's a lot of characters in Miami, and you are definitely one of them. You have a big, vibrant smile, and you're creative. So obviously you're in dance, artistic director of Dance Now, which has been alive since 2000, right? So it's been over 20 years.
I'm only 26.
And you're only 26. Wow. They got
Just
some
kidding.
like new robots coming out that just like fooling everybody.
That's right.
But yeah, so lead dance down. Actually, I asked if like, is there any classes I could take with you? But it turns out you're actually more of like a performance group that I've yet to really see in person. And so one reason that we're doing it this week is there's an awesome Sunday show at the North Beach Band Shell called Fall for Dance Now, and $15 and about an hour and a half, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And it's going to be a spectacular day, beautiful fall weather, and so hopefully they'll fall for Dance Now, and then stay with us the rest of the season.
Yeah, I'll be right at sunset, right, or a little bit after sunset.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. I think I actually watched some of your YouTube videos today to like prepare, and there's some kind of like effect that watching dance has on you. Very calming, and it's just so beautiful, right? Obviously, it's accompanied by music and classical music, but to see dancers contort their bodies in those such ways and express that kind of emotion is it's cathartic in a way, or it's like kind of like healing, or it's therapy a little bit. It's like, I don't know, like once after I saw that, I was like, it did have an effect on me that I don't always get from other kinds of media or whatever. So
Well, contemporary dance, unlike classical ballet, it is really about the expression of the human experience.
right.
Whereas ballet, classical, is a classical art form and is the one of the origins of contemporary dance, but classical ballet comes from a different. It comes from Western Europe. It tells the stories of kings and queens, fairy tales, fantastical dramas, not necessarily real life human experiences.
You're saying was ballet more like Russia that started the ballet?
Well, it started in the courts in Italy, and then it was formalized and codified in the courts in the courts of Louis XIV of France. So all of the terminology of ballet is in French. Russia gained access to it very soon after, and the Russian ballet scene is immense. It's one of the top in the world, which relates a lot to South Florida because it bled into Cuba, and the Cuban ballet style is also one of the most elite forms. They do Russian training. So
yeah, they're friends with the Russians.
Yes,
right?
yes, they have that history with Russia, and so that bled really in the ballet world as well. But then modern dance really was formed in the early 1900s by a woman named Isadora Duncan, was one of the founders. She really believed that she wanted to remove the corset, remove the point shoes, remove the ideology of the kings and the queens, and tell the stories of humanity. And she was a fabulous choreographer. It just so happens we're performing some of her work, historical work, on Sunday the 14th. And it's a rare opportunity because unlike other forms, really old pieces that you don't have access to. There was no video. The only way you can see old dance is reconstruction,
Right.
which is passed down person to person.
There's no writing out of choreography?
There is lava notation, but unless you, when you read it, you can't understand it. It's just a bunch of symbols. So you don't get that experience that you said when you saw the work. That expression of humanity is what we're going for with modern and contemporary dance, and you can only see that in person. So what people will see if they come on the 14th is not a reenactment, but they will experience the same work that was seen in 1914 and 1921 when those pieces were premiered.
Okay. I have a question before we dive into your story. Like, what do your regulars look like? Like the people who actually like come to these shows, maybe who don't even have kids and they're not like associated with your dancers. They're not the friends and family. Who are like the diehards who love you guys? Because like everyone's got to have their regulars and fans.
Yeah, you mean like the demographic who?
Yeah, I'm just interested to see what kind of crowd is there.
Well, I would say modern dance and contemporary dance in general is more young intellectuals, people that read more, that are not so much drawn to pop culture. They're more drawn to, I would say, a little bit more esoteric. Oftentimes, not people with children.
So it's not
adults.
Okay, not the couples. No.
It's
well, it's couples, but
I would say couples,
not bringing the kids
but
there.
not bringing the kids, because subject matter can become powerful, and subject matter can have allusion to, again, that human experience of pain or pleasure or relationships, both romantic and otherwise, that are complex. And so we perform often for children, and we have annual performances where school children are brought in. We never do performances with work made for children. We just make sure it's appropriate for children. There is no particular nudity or obviously graphic language in any of the music, but we find that children often can process contemporary dance very well, but they're not a big audience for us, because it's hard to pinpoint what contemporary dance is. It's easy when you say it's ballet. People say, oh, ballet. Mm-hmm. They know there's going to be ballerinas, tutus, point shoes, fairies. Lovely. Men twirling in the air, men lifting women up in the air. With contemporary dance, it could be a very wide range of things.
Yeah,
right?
There's less constraints. There's more possibilities. So it's a little bit harder to define and harder to really get a grasp of. I mean, it's a little bit more wild. That's why I was seeing some of these videos were just like wild how. I mean, anyway, so I'm excited to see what kind of people go. Actually, one question before I dive into your story. Does it start with a song, like a great piece, and then you're like, that's the inspiration for the movement? Or does it, sometimes you have you want to express some kind of emotion or story, and then you find a musical piece for it? Or does it start with the music, or does it start with
often dance starts with music. Very often, because, I mean, we have our heartbeat, we have our inner rhythm, we all move. Every child hears music and twirls around the living room. But yes, they are intrinsically connected, and this is something that actually has just changed because of COVID tremendously. So oftentimes, literally, you can hear a piece of music and it conjures movement in your mind. You see it happening before you, and you say, I have to put this music to dance. As you become a more practiced choreographer, oftentimes you have an idea first, and the idea is what drives you to find the right music for it. Now, when I say everything has changed because of COVID, as you create art, if you're using someone else's art, you have to pay them for it. So you have to get the rights to use the music if you're going to create to it. As a professional organization, right. A student organization doesn't, an educational organization less. And so we, of course, do that and did that up until COVID, when everything went online. And unfortunately, when I seal the rights, when I reserve the rights and I pay for the rights to perform a piece, I haven't paid for the rights to broadcast them online.
Yeah.
It's a very different thing. So we had already started developing very intimate, close relationship with 4 or 5 different composers. And as soon as we understood what was going on with COVID, we knew we had to really focus on that. So almost everything that we do now is to original music. And that creates a different dynamic, because sometimes a composer that we work with will have a piece of music and we take it. Other times we say, this is what we're looking for, this is an idea, here's a sample of a piece of music that is inspiring to us, but we want you to make an original. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes it's completely different, and we start and create work in silence, send a video to a composer, they look at it, they become inspired, and then the braiding starts, and then the interweaving happens. But yes, as an initial point of departure, often it's the music.
Right. So how did you get so in love with dance, Hannah? Let's start with you. Let's say, where were you born? I know I read that you would go back to Jerusalem a lot or something? Or what's that about? So where were you born?
I was born in Santa Cruz, California.
Santa Cruz, California.
It was a great place to be born and raised, a very open-minded community. My father is a professor at the university, and my mother worked at the city planning department. My mother had been a dancer as a young person and as a teenager. And when I was 5 years old, she put me in ballet. So I enjoyed it. I loved it. I loved the performing. I loved the musicality of it. And when I was 6, actually when I was first born, we lived in Israel, but I hadn't started dancing yet. My parents are Zionists.
You were born in Israel?
No, but I went there when I was 4 months old. So it was all, I mean, my first words were in Hebrew, my first steps were in Jerusalem. And then we came back to the United States, but I don't recall that. Then when I was 6, we went back again, and I lived there, and I started studying dance more seriously at a conservatory in Jerusalem. And I actually studied both ballet and the classical modern dance technique, Graham technique, from Martha Graham. She was a big influence. She started a company in Israel. So I was really introduced to both those classical dance forms at a very young age. And I loved it. There are some studies that actually came out of Israel about a genetic disposition for dance, and there are 2 genes that are slightly different, and the identities that they find are movement connected to spirituality and movement connected to community. So those are the ways that people identify what they have found as genetic markers. So there is something about coming together with other people, moving with them, and intimacy that you share with them. That is, you're a dancer. You experience that. You probably have part of that genetic disposition, and dance is connected to spirituality. Well, the origin of dance around the fire with the shaman was always ritualistic and spiritual. Mm-hmm. So
sounds a bit like introvert extrovert a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. There's introvert extrovert qualities absolutely in all dancers. And so I loved it. I love the theatrics of it. I have had my most spiritual moments of my life on stage, and also the most intimate moments with other human beings, beyond comparable to romantic intimacy, sometimes exceeding those intimacies, because almost because it's not your romantic partner, your lover, your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend. It is someone that you're having this other experience, and then the intimacy that you share with the audience.
And it's public, right?
Right, exactly.
Anytime it's public, it becomes a little more sensational, because you are actually, other people are watching, and you're affecting their experience, and you're affecting their day and life, and so it's more powerful. Those moments that are shared, for sure.
So all of those things resonated with me. I mean, even when I was in La Boutique Fantasque and I was a bear tied up in a giant bear suit, or as a young person, one of the character roles of the bear.
What were you for Halloween recently?
This Halloween I was a skeleton, because I was giving my students an anatomy quiz on the bones of the body. So I worked it in to Halloween. So I came in as a skeleton, and then my costume ended up on the wall, and we did a pin the femur on the femur kind of game.
What's common do dancers, are they always like swans and like things like that, or like is there a common like stereotype for dancers on Halloween?
I think dancers, probably dress up less
Yeah.
because we are in costume all the time.
They don't want to be hindered in their movement too. They're not going to wear like big boxes.
But we had a show that weekend, which was a community show with 8 different organizations performing that we helped organize. Our dancers did the warm-up class in costume, and they ran the gamut from one of the Disney princesses, Cruella. One person was Uma Thurman from Kill Bill. But yes, all costumes that were movable. They could pliable in them.
Not too many accessories.
No.
You don't want to drop those on the floor.
No.
Anyhow, so you love dance, and so already in high school, I'm sure you were enjoying the limelight and your performances, and so you went to the Juilliard School. Was that right out of high school, or was that?
Well, this is a story for all of us who aspire to something. I had good training. I was very interested. And I was able to graduate high school in 3 years because dance is also a short career, right? I'm 52 and I had my hip replacement at 40.
I thought you were 26.
I'm 26.
Times two. That's
exactly.
Why you give your half age to everybody.
That's right.
I'm gonna start doing that.
I had my hip replaced when I was 45. So, there is a short life. It's very, very aggressive on your body. And so I said, I need to get out of high school a year early. So I pushed. I took all my courses. And I auditioned for schools around the country, including Juilliard, including University of Utah, UC Irvine. I'm in California. And Juilliard just told me definitively no. Not only no, as in, are you smart? Maybe you should look into something else. No. And instead of taking that advice, I went to another university, University of Utah, that has an excellent dance program that feeds into both a major modern and a major ballet company in Salt Lake City. And I started there. I was, of course, a year early. After 2 years there, I was really introduced finally to modern dance. I had been strictly a ballet dancer up till that point. And I fell madly in love with this one style of modern dance, and I quit college. And I packed my bags and I moved to New York City to pursue studying this particular genre of modern dance called the Muller technique, after this woman, Jennifer Muller. Trained in New York, started dancing professionally, about 18 at that point. Between 18 and 19.
So there's a few of these studios and theaters where you knew you could find work at one of them?
There's tons of training in New York. Before COVID, of course. Many years before COVID. So you would go to New York, you train at a studio, finding the right teacher that's good for you, and then all the companies are based there. It's the epicenter for the dance world. So as you grow, you can have opportunity to perform. That's exactly what happened. I started training. I got jobs with small companies. A few years in, I was performing in a group, and one of the dancers she was only performing part-time. She was a student at Juilliard, and my boyfriend at the time was like, "You're better than her. Why don't you go audition for Juilliard again?" I did, and I was accepted with a half scholarship, which for a woman is unheard of. And I sped through the program in 3 years, which is also, I'm one of only, I think, 2 people that's ever done that. Again, because they were trying to promote me to get out so I could start my professional career. And was 10 feet tall on a poster on Lincoln Center. So so my story for people is you can't always swim against the stream, but sometimes you can. Sometimes you can accept that other people know more than you, but that you can still go around.
Plot your own path. You can pick the path less traveled and whatever.
And you can actually achieve it. The thing that I was trying to do, going to Juilliard, ended up graduating with flying colors and danced professionally in New York with several companies before I moved down to Florida.
Yeah. Well, I think the lesson maybe is that, if there's some dream you had and it's a no for now, maybe you just need to not kill time, but take a little path to go off the beaten trail and learn some new skills, discover some new things, come back with a bit more value onto that main path, and then now they're ready for you. Like you've learned a bit more, you've discovered things and
life is about a good fit. You can love that pair of pants, but if it's not a good fit, they're just not going to look good on you. So you have to know. And I think what you said about adding value, I think that's exactly right. I think you have to know at what point. It's not about kicking and screaming and demanding. It's about what can I do to improve myself? What can I do to know myself better?
Mm-hmm.
What can I do to open myself up to the parts that I'm missing? And then once you have that full picture, then you'll even know if that original dream is right for you or not. It might not be. You might be ready to go off, speed off in a different direction.
Right. But just never, always keep moving, I guess, is the moral, right? And keep self-improvement. Yeah, sit back, make sure.
There we go, yes.
Make sure that we're both in the video and we're comfortable, right?
And
ideally.
with this beautiful palm tree.
Ideally. Okay, and I think that's how we get it higher. Okay. Cool. Yeah, this is fun. This is actually the first one that we'll put up on YouTube. I'm finally getting more serious about all this stuff, like, I was like, oh yeah, you should put your stuff on YouTube, and I'm like, yeah. But like, I don't even listen to YouTube stuff really. I listen on like Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
We have a great voice.
Well, what I'm saying is like, I've been lazy to put it out on other channels that I don't really like go on that much.
Well, this will be the first.
But
we'll
this will
see
be
how
the
it
first
goes.
one. And obviously you're very. Oh, I just touched your boob. I'm sorry. You're a very beautiful lady.
And now we're being intimate, and that will be on YouTube. So.
Well, if that's the definition of intimacy, then I got things to learn.
Actually, as a dancer, we have a very aggressive physical contact with each other. So, as we're training our students, that's one of, my other passions is teaching, and they have to learn at an early age. You will contact people in ways that you did not anticipate, and it's fine, because it's business.
All right, well, we're going to keep the camera on, and we'll see what happens, but...
Just keep that hand then.
No, this is my stance typically, though. It's like my belly, hand on the belly stance, the belly, the stomach chakra or whatever. I like just like my hands there. It's the seat of pleasure is your gut, actually, and so
and
I actually...
say it controls so much now.
Yeah, gut-brain connection. Mm-hmm. So, like, I tend to have my palms, like, on my belly a lot of times, like, even when I'm walking. It's like a big Buddha belly, a Buddha walk,
Yeah.
Big Buddha six-pack someday, maybe. But anyhow, it's not about me. So you were in New York, and you got into Juilliard School, and then you fast-tracked you out of there, wanted to kind of, I guess, be a leader in the space, right?
And actually, I should mention that the skipping stone of your life, you don't realize as you're going through your life, the people that you see, you will see again, the important people. So I had met a teacher at an institution in the Berkshires called Jacob's Pillow that I trained at one summer. When I came back to Juilliard the second time to audition, he was on faculty. His name is Ben Harkarvi. And I just mention that because, you always want to honor your mentors, but that he had seen where I was and where I became. And he became a huge advocate of mine, a mentor. And he is the one who helped me understand that he was suggesting and helping me to fast track as a leader in the arts community. If I had stayed in New York, probably would have been there. I chose to leave, but I took with me all the lessons so that I could continue to grow dance, my work, the arts community training. He was the founder of a very famous company called the Netherlands Dance Theater in Holland, and he was the first director to put point shoes, flat shoes, and bare feet on the same stage. So he was really pioneering this idea of what contemporary dance is, that there are no divisions between modern dance and classical dance, and that they both speak to the human condition, that they both speak to audiences similarly. And so just to piggyback on what you were saying, when I was there, it was every teacher I had made a profound impact on me. I say I fast-tracked. I almost regret not taking all the 4 years because there were things that I missed, but absolutely every educator that I interacted with, every teacher, whether it was in the dance program or in my aesthetics or in my music history, which you have to study if you go to school there. My partner Diego, he says at Juilliard they put a chip in you and they send you out so that if you interact with other people that went to Juilliard, we all sort of have a common mission, of excellence, of education, of exploration. When we meet each other, we all find that we have done similar things in our different fields because we have understood our role. And we've been given sort of the honor of, but also the responsibility of moving our art forward.
Okay. So what was this decision to come to Florida? Like, what was the story of that?
It was a man. It's always love here. If you meet people here, I would say 80% of the people here move because of love. It was my partner in New York. He was unhappy living there. It was too stressful for him. And it was too stressful for me because there were no jobs. It was in the recession of the early 90s. And I was almost getting every job that I auditioned for, but not getting any of them. Of the big jobs.
Almost there, close.
So I would be in the last 8, the last 3, the last 2. Just didn't get the job. And so the hit is hard, right? The hit is hard when you know you're the last 2, when you're the last 3. And you've been working for 2 weeks auditioning. It's a brutal process, the performing arts and the audition cycle. And there was a moment where I said, I heard about this company in Florida. I heard that the scene is blossoming. I know that they just declared a historic preservation neighborhood. I know there's a large gay community. These are all things that feed art and culture, right? People are starting to respect the architecture. There's, of course, the gay community supports the arts, often because it's people with 2 incomes and no children for many years.
Right. Now
there's more gays with children, but also that's part of their paradigm is to support arts and culture. And it was sort of blossoming, so I knew if there was something happening, I could kind of get in on the ground level. And when I came here, I mean, there were 6 buildings downtown.
How long ago were you here?
I moved here Christmas Eve, 1994.
1994. Nice. 2 years after my birthday.
Ah, there you go.
So 1990. I'm assuming South Beach still had its Art Deco scene, but I imagine that Greater Miami was so different, right? Like downtown Brickell, all that was very different.
There was nothing. There were 6 buildings.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. 6 buildings downtown. There was the SunTrust, which is now, I guess, Bank of America. There was Liberty Tower, the courthouse, the museum was downtown, and there was the Agam building on the Brickell Key, but there was nothing. And there was no reason to go there. Everything shut down at 4:30. There was some Brazilian electronic shops. Miami was a vastly different place. The dance community was fueled by the New World School of the Arts. The New World School of the Arts, the founding dean of dance, Daniel Lewis, had been at Juilliard for 21 years. He brought it was started as PAVAC, which was like a vocational school for the arts. And through some collaborations with the city and the county, they founded this performing arts high school and college. And it really served, and still serves, as like the anchor for the arts and the artists that come out of Miami. I mean, Terrell McCraney, who wrote Moonlight, that won the Oscar.
Oh yeah?
He went to high school at New World School of the Arts for theater. So this institution that was in downtown Miami was sort of modeled after other urban schools like Booker T. Washington or LaGuardia, other major cities that have art schools. It sowed the seeds, and it employed, as professors of dance, several people that had companies. And so there were 4 or 5 modern dance companies. There was Miami City Ballet, was founded only 10 years before maybe I came here, so it was just a baby. And it was a very different scene. I mean, my mother still calls South Beach downtown.
Right, that back then.
Because that was it. Yeah. This was like Manhattan Island was the beach. I lived here. Actually, I lived at Euclid, 8th and Euclid. Then I moved north to Surfside, and now I kind of split the difference. I live in North Beach. I love Miami Beach. I love being near the water. For me, it's really important. But I am very happy about the development. People complain and the traffic and the people, but I didn't want to live in a city that didn't have a metropolitan center. And I was worried that Miami would end up being like LA or Phoenix, which is very decentralized suburban downtowns, and then just only freeway driving. Now, I know we do have a lot of traffic, and it's going to get worse, but I don't really mind. I think there's going to be some solutions. There's going to be some monorails and more trains and trams and such, but this city's incredible.
Yeah, we're small enough that, like, I don't know. Like,
I love what has happened.
there's something about Miami Beach, and then having like the bay in between, like, just means that we'll always like be. You can ping pong between like Brickell and South Beach, and like that forever will be enough like of a world, or like, and then you can go beyond to Little Haiti, Little Havana. You can go to Doral. I mean, those might end up blossoming.
Doral is
more
blossoming. I still haven't even been there since Doral City Center opened, but I mean, the downtown corridor. My dance now, we rehearse at Little Haiti Cultural Complex. That's our home. And I really feel like Little Haiti is the north boundary of the downtown corridor. I think it really starts in Little Haiti, it runs through downtown, and then across to Brickell.
Coconut Grove.
And then into
Coral
Coconut Grove.
Gables.
And I believe, well, I think Coral Gables is already a little bit beyond what I call the downtown corridor. I think that it sort of bottoms out at Coconut Grove. That's where I believe there should be a... Sorry.
No worries.
That'll be exciting for the viewers.
No. We're gonna get better at.
Pan Performing Arts Network. It still exists, but it's not at the 555 17th Street, right next to Jackie Gleason, where it started. And one of the things that was here when I moved, that has dissolved a lot, was the third most important modeling community in the world. It had bumped out. It was actually New York, Milan, Miami. It had bumped out all the other cities. All of the major modeling agencies were here, and I mean, the town was filled with the most gorgeous creatures you'd ever seen in your life. And this beautiful man came to take my ballet class, and I said, "Oh, nice to meet you. What are you doing? Are you a dancer? You have a beautiful body, beautiful feet." Wasn't really that coordinated. So I was like, "He's not really a dancer." And he said, "No, I met my boyfriend in Milan modeling, and he's a dancer, so I want to kind of know what his life is about." And so I said, "Great." So he was one of my students for a good part of a year, and then at a certain point he said, "My boyfriend's coming, and you'll get to meet him." So one day in early August, he showed up and with his boyfriend with him, and that was Diego. And for us, I would say it was sort of a love at first sight kind of moment. It was like bells and whistles, and this is it was a very surprising meeting.
Moment, yeah. So
The moment,
Diego
yeah.
was his boyfriend. Was the boyfriend
Diego
model
was
guy?
the boyfriend.
Okay.
Who he was a dancer. He was a professional dancer on television, but he also did a good deal of modeling. And he had met him. I think he was dancing in Milan, and the other gentleman was working as a model. And he came, and I literally said, "Yeah, this is the partner I've been waiting my whole life to meet."
Oh yeah.
And we hit it off very quickly. I think he went back to Italy. He's from Rome, and he was living in Italy. He went back, and then he eventually returned. And at first, we were sort of bosom buddies, working with other local companies. We worked with Momentum Dance Company, we worked with Karen Peterson and Dancers, and we worked both with Ballet Flamenco La Rosa.
Mm-hmm.
But very quickly, we started sort of, and we also taught. We found places to teach, but very quickly, dancers started sort of circling around us and asking us to start a company. And Diego was more excited about this than I was. I think he's just a few years older, and his career, I think, had peaked in a different way as a television. I mean, he would never say a star, but he was a pretty big star. He was the partner to all the big showgirls, and he was on television doing the variety shows, which we don't think of right now as understanding what those are, but it was more like the Ed Sullivan Show, like a very big, full orchestra playing live for them, the biggest celebrities, the biggest comedians, the biggest singers, the best showgirls and dancers on television. And there was a moment where I think he realized, this is only going to last so long. I want to do my own thing. He had met me, and he said, "Let's start a company. I'm really ready." And he actually got turned away at the border and sent back because he had crossing visas. So he had applied for his visa to work, but he was coming in on a tourist visa, and they bounced him. So at that point, then he actually got a job in Italy and toured Italy with Gisela Johnson, a choreographer that had created a touring show. And he was just so antsy, he just said, the minute I can, we're gonna start the company. So he came back, and the name of the company, Dance Now, comes from an old Maimonides saying, you know, if I'm not for myself, who is for me? And if I'm beside myself, who is going to help me? And if not now, when?
No.
And I kind of misquoted, that's not exactly what it is, but I had it on my wall when I was growing up, and it's sort of about taking control and knowing that you have to be responsible for yourself, and you have to pick the moment and do it.
So what is the mission of Dance Now? Did you establish that with Diego? Or?
Yes, oh yes, we have our mission established. It's to promote our artistic vision as individual and collaborative artists. That's one of the things that unique to our company, is that we create art together, which is almost unheard of in any field. Often there are secret collaborations that people don't know about, like the sculptor Christo gets all the credit for wrapping everything, but actually we have discovered after his death that his wife was a huge part of it. Or like, I believe, Debussy, I think it's Debussy, one of the Romantic composers, his wife actually wrote a lot of music that he was credited for. We create work together, so the mission is our creative vision. It is to create, promote, and present high quality dance that represents our South Florida community and the international community that makes up South Florida. We're an internationally collaborative company, people from 2 different continents. And it's to nurture and promote the creation and education of dance in this community, nationally and internationally.
Okay, so that's what gets me excited. Is like what I think I saw something about like 5,000 students that like participated before or something like that, or like what's this?
35,000 students.
Over time, over 20 years.
Over the 20 years.
So what does that look like? How are you like getting these kids dancing? Or are they choosing to sign up, or like is it part of one of their classes, or?
We have, our educational program is multifaceted. For adults, we offer some classes to the community. We don't have a school per se. We're in the Little Haiti Cultural Complex, which is a City of Miami facility. We do have any classes that we have for the company. The general public is welcome to come, as long as they have an intermediate to advanced level, because they're not beginner classes. We have sometimes had those, but not currently. From our home at the Little Haiti Cultural Complex, we have a program called the World Dance Summer Intensive. And that's an exciting program where we invite the other organizations that are dance organizations from Little Haiti, which include Delu Africa Dance Ensemble, Tradition La Kulakai Haitian Folklore Dance Company, Atma Yoga Dance Company had been in residence there, and our company, and we create between a 1 and 3 week summer program that is modeled after some of the intensives that we teach around the world for the Joffrey Ballet, for Interlochen in Michigan, programs that I've attended, Boston Ballet School, et cetera, where they train 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. In our case, again, embracing the international community that is South Florida, they get to experience other dance forms that they wouldn't normally. So not just ballet, modern dance, point. They learn Afro-Haitian, West African, yoga, they've learned capoeira styles, they've had hip hop. That offers, that's a more open program to the community, and usually through subsidies through the City of Miami or the Foundation for New Education Initiatives, we're able to give scholarships to 100% of the students. Because a program like this usually costs about $1,000 a week. We're able to reduce that cost to about, because we have to pay so many teachers, to about $300 a week, and then reduce it further, and usually it's a $50 registration fee. So because we want to make the art of dance accessible to these students, we make sure that the tuition can be covered. Then the third major part of our educational program is that we go to a different school every year. And we spend 8 to 10 weeks teaching 3 days a week always, it used to be Diego and I, now we send our dancers. So this year, for example, we have Anthony Velasquez and Fatima Andere, two of our dancers. They are going to John A. Ferguson High School, way west, southwest, and they teach ballet, modern, contemporary, and they choreograph on the students. So they reach usually about 150 students.
So are these students just signing up, putting their hand up, or
These are students that are already in a dance program.
They're already in a dance program. So these schools, these regular elementary, are they middle schools, or like what are they?
Middle and high schools.
Middle and high schools, they have dance programs.
We're very lucky because the people who live in South Florida come from faraway places where dance and music and art is part of the infrastructure. They expect it, and our superintendent makes sure that it happens. We have more magnet schools for dance than almost any school board around the country. So for us, it's sort of a no-brainer. We have professionals. We want to infuse the training. They're in public school. We have the students that are there training, and we have the teachers that are usually doing their best to give them pre-professional training, but they have to fundraise to bring in outside teachers. So we bring this program in completely free to them, sponsored by Miami-Dade County Department of Cultural Affairs and the Children's Trust, and we're able to reach these kids, give the support to the teachers, and we end up creating relationships with these students. Literally, I just saw one of the students that I taught at South Miami performing with the New World School of the Arts College program at Aventura Friday night. I was waiting for someone. She came out. She goes, pulled down her mask. She said, "I don't know if you recognize me, Miss B. You taught me at South Miami." And she's graduating this year. She's already a heat dancer. So we end up touching, reaching children that grow into part of the dance community, and if not that, then certainly dance audiences and dance lovers.
Well, you're directly investing in your community and also the pipeline of more awesome students, and then just growing the whole thing. I mean, if like the NBA, NFL, MLB were not more competitive, then I think those teams would take a more active interest in their communities at like growing the school's baseball programs, having the coaches go give some tips, and like it's like what you guys are doing, but like you guys are doing it because you can, and it's a little more closed than like some of the more competitive sports, where it's all about competition and travel and But I think what you're doing is
dance
great.
is an expensive art form,
Yeah.
and we're very fortunate in Miami-Dade County that the public school provides such good dance training for free. So instead of us investing in opening in a school and raising money, which would probably be better for our company and our pocketbooks, we end up going the more social program route and asking for grant money so that we can augment these programs that are already free. So it is really our goal to reach in there. There's the one last aspect of our educational program, which is the Dance Now Youth Ensemble. That existed informally for years, and it was students that we reached through these programs that we invited to perform with the company as students. Now it's a formal partnership with Miami Arts Charter, and we have between 6 and 18 young dancers that we train and that they join us in the program. You will see Sunday one of these students, Nicole Espinel. She is a student at Miami Arts Charter. She was in COVID quarantine all through last year. She never came back to school from March and all through last year, and she's one of their brightest, and we're bringing her to perform a solo with us at the show.
Awesome.
So you'll get to see the level. I mean, she already did a summer program at Juilliard, so her future looks bright, but COVID was a hard hit, and so we're hoping that she gets to be on stage again, and it will thrill her and it will thrill us.
Is that your greatest joy, Hannah, is seeing the youth kind of come alive and grow and on stage?
I would say it is, and by the youth I mean also our company dancers, because they could be my children, even though I'm only 26.
Right.
No, when I was younger, I loved performing so much, as I mentioned, is what drew me and what kept me attracted to the art form. But other dancers can manifest so much more than I can right now, physically, and to watch them climbing up into those experiences, it's thrilling.
Yeah, you're living vicariously.
Completely.
And you wear these turtlenecks, you could be like a vicar or whatever, like almost.
Yes.
Like,
Well.
does that come from that word? I don't even know. Vicariously.
Interesting.
It could be because anyway. Yeah. So in terms of dance now, it sounds like you guys are growing a lot with the schools. Is there any like big dream that you have, or are you living the dream?
Well, we are in our 22nd year. We celebrated our 20th anniversary during COVID. That was challenging, and I think it really it had us prove our mettle. So most performing arts organizations just clusto. They just shut down, closed up like a clam. We are two. We're two directors. So we have twice the stubbornness and twice the ideas. And we said we're not shutting down. We're moving everything online, and it helped us to really understand our commitment. And we blossomed. We produced 12 co-videos. We did our 20th anniversary performance online, and we kept our dancers employed. So coming out of that, which was, to make 20 years as a nonprofit organization of any sort is a big deal. But as a performing arts organization, even more, when the model is shifting from having an organization to just doing performances, just creating projects. Our greatest masterpiece is not our choreography. Although we might create some beautiful, important work. We have created a piece called Bridges Not Walls, which is about understanding the tribal nature of human beings and how important it is to overcome that nature. We've performed it on three continents with 4 different dance companies incorporated into the work on stage with us. We believe in our work, but we believe that dance now itself as an organization is our masterpiece. That what we have created is a community-based organization that has the wings to perform internationally, but we also have the commitment to bring 10 kids who can't afford it into Little Haiti Cultural Complex in the summer. So are we living the dream? Yes, we are.
Awesome.
Are there more goals? Absolutely. We are, as most contemporary dance companies, underfunded. We all have other jobs, the dancers, as well as Diego and myself. So
what's your other job?
I teach part-time at a performing arts high school.
Oh, so it's still dance related.
Dance related. Most of the other company members are in a dance or fitness field. Some teach Pilates, some teach ballet fitness, some teach at gyms. Others are just servers. Some work, drive Uber. Yeah. But our dream would be that we would have enough support, which can't all come from grants and foundations. It has to come from the community rallying and deep pocket donors that want to see this company as an establishment, to have an endowment, to have a building, to have a full-time organization where the dancers were paid for a full week of work, as opposed to, well, we're with them all week. They have to have the other jobs to make it up, and to be able to increase their community value. Right. So we're doing all of this while we're side gigging to make our bills. Yeah. And many people don't know that about our organization.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess the more you get the word out, the more people start. Oh, I can't say that I've really. I mean, my sister, I used to dance like Irish. I mean, I can't say that I've been to like a full contemporary art performance for like an hour and a half. Like, so like this will be an experience for me, and it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna be very like interested in note-taking like what the experience of how it affects me, but
and I would love to speak to you afterward.
Yeah, I'll be taking videos. We'll do like an Instagram story view.
Fantastic.
Forever you're a local voice, so you'll have your own highlight reel on the Instagram.
Fantastic.
And coming right after the Mayor Daniela, so it's like it's good timing, and I'm excited to take cool videos of you forever and ever, right? Because like forever and ever you'll have a highlight reel that I can become a videographer and come capture your experience and just share it. It just brings me great joy to share the awesome people in Miami. So that being said, let's get some personality questions going here towards the end. What was your favorite country to like dance and perform in, or favorite city, favorite like audience that was like, wow, like I can't believe these people love dance so much, or like Was there anything that surprised you?
I think that it's, again, I'm growing more and more to believe that life is all about that good fit. Something you want so much to be right, it sometimes lands flat. And I have to say that traveling with the work that we have traveled recently, the Bridges Not Walls, which we performed in Mexico, in several locations, coming on the heels of the discourse about building the wall, was very powerful. But it was more powerful in Italy where we performed it, because one of the final segments of the piece is performed to a poem called Home by Warsan Shide, who talks about the experience of the immigrant and the very difficult challenge of being a stranger in a land where people don't want you, but you had to leave your home because, as she says, home is the mouth of the shark, home is the barrel of the gun, and home is a place that you have to leave and you can't stay, and that's the only reason you leave is because you can't stay. And when we performed it in Italy, they were in the midst of their massive influx of immigrants 2 years ago. And I think for those Italians to hear and be reminded about the fact that these people invading their country that they were angry about were not there by choice. They were there because they had to. They had to flee their home. That was, I think, a profound moment for us. And again, as you mentioned, because of the interaction with the audience, to hear that their responses, to hear how much it impacted them as a concept, I think was really important. And then just recently, when we traveled to Portugal during COVID, we managed to eke out an international tour during COVID, which had a lot of paperwork and a lot of testing.
Yeah.
And we performed a piece in Portugal called Anusim, What is Hidden is Never Lost, which was about the Inquisition in Portugal and how the Jews of Portugal were forced to sublimate their Judaism and behave as Catholics. They called them New Christians in order to stay in the country. And that also resonated very deeply with the Portuguese that we were working with. I think because there is this new understanding of how
Or empathy.
an empathy for how so many of us are being asked to hide who we are, whether it is in the gay community, people coming out and saying, I can't live like this, but also, I just recently found out Native Americans at one point in this country were required to hide their rituals and practice Christian rituals in order to participate in society. So I think the subject matter of the work is what made those performances so profound, more than the places.
No, right. You're touching on some very, very deep social issues and almost healing people in their perspective of it, or at least allowing them to accept what happened and look differently at it, or haven't had an experience of empathy for it. So that's very powerful. All right, so hand of the character. I like asking this question because I'm realizing this kind of defines, these two things kind of define people. No, I think people don't like when I say two things define people because there's so many things that define people. But I like knowing, one, how do you celebrate? Like what is your, if something great happened right now and you're like, okay, this is great, I want to celebrate with, how do you celebrate?
Air. I love air. Driving with my windows open, open, just feeling air in my face. I love being near the ocean. Celebration, not so much about having a party or gathering with people, but more about, that's a good question.
Well, often I would take it I love sharing great meals with family and friends, and here's some of my favorite spots, and this is where I celebrate on weekends, or I guess, what are your favorite spots in Miami? Also a question we asked around this time.
Well, I would have to say, it's been hard since COVID because I was shut in because I was working so much from home.
Where does Hannah eat out? I mean, are you guys all vegetarian, by the way?
Oh, no. Where do I eat? I love the Neapolitan pizza at Omunacello on 64th and Biscayne.
Okay.
It's real authentic Neapolitan
Have you tried La
pizza.
Legenda on over here?
La Legenda also very
Yes.
good. Yes, that's authentic pizza as well. I love the beach walk, the new path.
Mm.
So for me, because I consider myself a New Yorker, even though I was born in California, because I spent so many years there, a long, beautiful walk all the way down that beach path to the end, right? It's open now. It's an incredible way to travel, bicycle, skateboard, whatever. I like to walk personally. I love to hear live music. So I love the North Beach Band Shell. It's an amazing venue near my house. They have free concerts. They have paid concerts. I like to go to the Miami Beach Botanical Garden, both for private moments and for events. And the company performs there every year. We love it so much.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of where do I go to celebrate? Where would be my locations I would send people to? You know, I'm a kind of a neighborhood girl. So like for Cuban cuisine, I go to Las Vegas, which is on Collins and 71st. I'm a North Beach girl. I like to go to La Sandwicherie.
Yeah.
One of the
Classic.
best, classic, and now they have one in North Beach. And Moises Bakery, which is a Venezuelan bakery with a cachito that will kill you. I just saw a girlfriend for the first time in probably 8 years. She hasn't been in Miami in 8 years, and the first thing she said is, we're going to Moises Bakery. They have the best cafe con leche in all of Miami, I have to say.
Okay.
The best. And it comes with sugar automatically, so just don't even try to get it without sugar. And
Wait, that's plenty. I think we got some new stuff for everyone to
Yeah.
check out. I mean, I love that because I don't know, it keeps it different. Sometimes you get stale and like, oh, I always get this and that, and like, no, like I want ideas of fun new places to try because Hannah mentioned it, and like I want to empathize with your experience, and like, yeah, it's like that's one reason we end the podcast with those kind of questions. One other question we ask is like, what's one of your like good healthy habits, or you know how you deal with stress, like what's something that keeps you strong, like in terms of like your character and maybe a mantra or like just some kind of like, usually it's the morning where you develop your strength, right? Before going out and sharing it or facing the world.
well, I'm actually a night person. So
Okay.
I do kind of my preparation for the day at night.
Oh yeah.
My mornings are filled with finishing my dreams. So I have to wake up and then I have to go back to sleep and finish my dreams. So then when I wake up, I'm awake and I just go. But things like, for me, healthy things that I like to do, red wine, turmeric. Two
Turmeric.
very important things in
Fine.
my life. I just found out recently that turmeric is actually a blood thinner. So if you take turmeric, you should not take any other blood thinners like Advil, aspirin, things like that. It's not that great for you, but turmeric is great for you. Red wine I love. I think red wine is fantastic. It's
Favorite kind of red wine?
I like Spanish wine and Italian wine. Dry, bold and dry are the red wines that I like. I would have to say things are tough all over, right? We are in the center of a global pandemic. We have more political and personal divide around the world that we can see and feel because of technology. Probably we had this all before because humans haven't changed that much ever, but we feel it now. And I caught myself recently with just the poutiest face on a film that I did. And so my most recent drive for positivity, because I think of myself as a very positive person, is what they call the Yogic Smile, which is just turn up the little corners of your mouth. Just
Like that?
no, just a little bit.
Sometimes it gets really strong though.
Well,
but, like,
then you ride
but
it.
it just happens. You ride it out.
You ride that out.
Can't force
Because-
it though. It's nice when
no.
it just happens.
So
yeah.
instead of being here, I try to be now here.
I try to relax, like I literally just say like relax your face, because like sometimes you know yoga teachers ever tell you like, relax your face, relax your jaw,
tongue,
relax your
tongue,
ear, relax
yes, exactly.
your eyes. You can literally like relax your face as like something you actively do, you know. So sometimes you can be like, deciding, making a decision, or, you got to figure something out. That's life. And you get all, tense, and, you get like a frown, because it's even healthy frowns are good. But at some point you got to like remind yourself, okay, that's over, like relax your face. Like, and I think, that yogi smile,
just like this.
Incredible.
It's just a little. It's just so that if we all need to live in the moment, and you want the moment to be the best moment it can be. It's one of the things you learn as a performing artist, is there are no do-overs. It's happening here, it's happening now. It's why the experience is so intimate. It's why the experience with your audience is a profound shared moment, because it will never happen that way again. And so you really track this thing of time going by.
Well, you don't want to miss it anymore. Like you start having FOMO of like you've kind of like observed life to an extent where like you don't want to be in your head as much, because you want to be experiencing, observing. You want to like notice things that you noticed before. Like you're upping your power for noticing and observation.
And you want to experience that moment to its fullest. You don't want to be outside yourself looking in.
It's really the ears too. So for me, like where some people's minds might go towards a thought or an anxiety or something, I just like actively go to the ears and like see how like little of a detail can I pick out, like in outside, like in the community. If I'm outside, like you just listen to the littlest things, and it's changing, right? You need some variety. You need the sounds to keep changing, but they do. At the very core level, everything is changing, and there's little changes happening. So listening is really how you get out of your head, I think. Besides observing amazing artistic performances, which obviously will get you out of your head. So everyone should come to the Fall for Dance Now, North Beach Band Shell, this Sunday. I'm gonna do some promo. I'm gonna try to do some promo finally of like this on Facebook. We'll spread it to dance lovers.
That would be great. And we have a heavy month, because we have Fall for Dance Now, which is Sunday, November 14th. November 27th and 28th, we're participating in a show called Men Who Dance, which is about drawing attention to the male dancer and the male paradigm. That's at the Broward Center for the Performing Arts. December 9th, we're performing in a piece about dance and video. That's at Miami Lightbox as part of a Miami Dance Hub performance. And then December 11th is our, oh, my stomach is grumbling, pardon me, is our Stories for the Holidays. And then we're going to wrap up the winter with a beautiful show at Miami Shore, December 11th. You can find out about all this stuff on our website. Yeah. But, and then, if you like dance and you want to support us, or if you want to support any nonprofit, Thursday, November 18th is Give Miami Day.
Yeah.
And that's when you can browse and give $25 to all the groups that you think are going to make a difference in Miami, and your $25 will make a difference.
Right, that's great to remind everybody. All right, last question. I used to say, like someone, you think we should interview. Usually people just end up like giving out like dance, or someone in their circle, like you should interview Diego. But like, I'm gonna flip it right now. Who's your favorite Miami like celebrity? It could be like a musician, it could be like a player, it could be anything.
Well, I have to say my favorite celebrity right now is someone who has become a good friend during COVID, and that's Sammy Figueroa, the Latin jazz percussionist. Actually,
it's funny. 2 doors down, one of my good friends, Mac, and his girlfriend, they actually, I think they met him by like they were Craigslisting some of their stuff or something, and they met and they became friends. Like, so I've been connected with Sammy, and I think Fran knows Sammy. I think Sammy is someone I'm excited to meet, because I've just seen a lot of weird connections start happening.
Yeah, well, that's there you go. There's the fit. No, Sammy Figueroa, he is one of the most humble legends that we have in our midst. I mean, he played, not just did a gig with, but played and toured with Miles Davis. Is in Miles Davis' book, was very close to him. David Bowie, every major jazz legend he has pretty much worked with, and he's right here in our own midst. He has a radio show at WDNA.
Yeah, no, Fran loves his show, yeah. All right, well, we'll make that happen. He'll be one of the guests this season. I can't wait to meet him.
He might be at the show Sunday.
Yeah, an intro right there. Awesome. All right, well, Hannah, I'm so excited. This couldn't have lined up better, where we have a cool event to go check out. get to take some cool video of you. There's Give Miami Day coming up next week. So I think it's time to like do our best to shine more of a light on the arts, and you know, people need some motivation sometimes to spend their money on the arts and go to the arts instead of being in their own little world and Netflix all the time. You know, like people need a little push, and so we can be that push together, all right?
The human experience.
Let's do it. The human experience. What does that mean? It means depths of it means extremes of emotion, or embracing them, so to speak. You know?
Yes.